it was just something I knew. Like I saw and believed God can do anything and everything through me, through whoever it is. If you follow God's leading and guiding and you truly surrender to him, nothing is impossible. And if you don't know how to do something, you'll learn how to do it, and God will honor that. But I can't even give you any kind of insight. It's literally just a fundamental belief that God can do it and God will do it. And I'm going to be there for it, and I'm going to see it happen because I believe it. So.
Welcome back to the podcast, Steph. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, I guess, in my own house.
In your own house? In your own office?
Correct, yes.
Or as we call it, my studio.
It's kind of a makeshift, your studio, my studio, our studio.
Well, here we got you in 4K. It's your first time on the podcast with video.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so if nobody knows what you look like, well...
You're welcome.
Check out YouTube.
Please don't.
We're going to have an exclusive behind the scenes in Fountain. No, just kidding.
We're good. I'm good.
Well, the last time you were on was audio only. It was like in the 50s. I was just looking. It's been over a year and a half since you were on the podcast. And you said, what did you say? When I asked you, thank God. Why? Why do you hate my podcast?
I don't. I love listening to it. I don't like being on it. There's better people to listen to.
Let's put you on the spot. How many episodes have you listened to?
Most.
Oh, most.
Most.
Okay.
I have.
There's over 140 now. Did you know that?
I think I've listened to most.
No, but thank you so much for doing this in short notice.
For sure.
The People's Champion. This is everyone's favorite guest on the podcast. And so I was really just wanting to get some numbers, get some downloads. So I thought, see if you can come back on.
I'm not going to even comment to that. What am I supposed to say?
We both just got back from Indonesia. That was the real reason we were going to get on here to talk a little bit about that. I tend to do like a short little debrief whenever I travel overseas, just to give the listeners a bit of an idea if they actually care. But I mean, I keep doing it, so hopefully they care to a degree. But this trip was interesting. We were supposed to be going together.
Yep.
And we went together.
We did.
We took a flight to Jakarta together.
Yes.
And we spent
one night.
Barely a night. I think
That's true.
We got in at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, and you left it.
I had to be out by 7. Well, yeah, I was out by like
6 or 7.
6, yeah, because I wanted to grab breakfast. So we had about 5 hours together.
Yeah.
But for people who don't know, we were supposed to travel together. We were doing a crusade that I ended up traveling with Brother Paulus to do, and but it just so happened that the dates didn't actually work out. The travel arrangements. The island that I went to was quite remote. There was 3 flights in and out a week. So they flew in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Steph had to be back for work. So we thought at first we'd just be canceling it, and I would be going by myself again.
Yeah.
But much to our surprise, the idea was floated that you actually stay in Jakarta for a week and help the churches out there. So what was that like? Because it's been over 10 years since you were in Jakarta.
Yeah, I think we calculated it was 2012 when we were there last, perhaps, or
2012 was our first trip.
Right.
We did that to West Papua when we went into Nabiri.
So when were we? I couldn't remember when we were last.
I want to say it was either 2014 or 15.
Right. It was before Ava, having Ava.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Yeah. It was definitely before Ava. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. There was a lot of people there that I remember from the last time we were there, so that was really good. A lot of life has happened since we were there last,
Yes,
so that was
true.
kind of cool. People had kids and more kids, and yeah, just changes and. But it was really good. It was the church was familiar. The churches were familiar, and the people were familiar. So.
You went to how many different churches in Jakarta? Was it
Three 3 different churches, and then a number of schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a new experience.
Pastor Amin
Yes.
likes to keep you busy.
Yes, correct. He looked over at me on Sunday morning because they had a recap slideshow of everything that that I had done that week, right? And he looked over at me and he was like, "Wow, you were really busy." Yes, I was. Thanks to you. It was good. That was the whole purpose of being there. So
Yeah, true.
But it was kind of nonstop.
Yeah, and you did so well with the kids. That's what I heard, at least, that you did so well with the kids that they're like, well, we should have her go to another school.
Yeah. So on Thursday we went to a school, and it was, I think, grades 7 and 8 and 9 perhaps. And we spoke there, and that was really good. Obviously they were, I don't know how many guests they get at the school, so that was really cool. Some of the girls were asking me what my Instagram handle was, and it was, so it was really cute. I was like, I don't post, but you're more than welcome to, So that was good. And then we spoke at another school on Friday morning, and that was the younger grades. So the first class of the day, so once they arrive at around 7 a.m., the first class of the day is scripture class, and they divide the school into their religion, essentially. So there's a Christian class, and then there's the Muslim kids, and then Buddhist, etc. So I taught the Christian class, which was kids ranging in age from kindergarten, so 6 years old, all the way up to grade 6 or grade 7.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. So it was the whole primary school.
Yeah, it was the whole primary school. So lots of really cute kids, around Reagan's age. It was really good. And then we went back to the original school on Friday afternoon, and that was the older grades, 10 to 12. So it was really good.
Which class did you like better?
The really young kids were really cute.
Yeah, I saw a selfie surfaced out of that one.
Yeah. No, that was Thursday.
Oh,
that was Thursday.
Okay.
Some of the boys, I was sitting in front of some of the boys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and they were just asking questions and practicing their English, and it was really cute. But the little kids, the 6 and 7 year olds.
Yeah, I forgot you did 2 on Friday.
Yes.
Thursday
we did 2 schools. We weren't supposed to do the second school on Friday, but the principal called Brother Amin that morning or mid-morning and asked if we could come back at 1 o'clock for the last religious lesson of the day. So
yeah, and you did a national ladies event.
I did,
yeah, which was interesting. It was a cool concept. They had it hosted in Jakarta, but then they put it on Zoom.
Yeah,
because Indonesia is so spread out. They're all across all these different islands, so they pretty much only gather together once every few years for their general conference.
Yeah, I don't think they've had the general conference since COVID as well. That someone had mentioned. They haven't had it for a while.
Yeah. It's been a while, and it's very difficult for everyone to get back together. Yeah, because people don't have that much money, and then you're having to travel, and so that was cool. It was cool to see. I got to log in for a little bit.
The pastor was she was welcoming everyone that was on Zoom. She went through all the churches, and then she's like, "And Brother Greg, your husband is on." I was like, "I know." He texted me.
We were all on. I was on. Brother Kabani.
Oh no.
Brother Thompson. We're all sitting in the lounge watching it.
Yeah, it was good. There was a good attendance in person and on Zoom from what we could see anyway, because they had the screen of Zoom on one of the screens. Cool. So that was really cool. It was really good.
So you had that, you had the school, and then you did a music seminar on the Saturday?
Yep, yeah.
And
a ladies' prayer meeting.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the prayer meeting.
Yeah, ladies' prayer meeting I shared there, and then the 2 services on a Sunday.
Yeah, we might on YouTube, we might include some of the photos from this trip. My favorite is the prayer meeting, I think. You're more than welcome
to. You're just jealous. It's all right.
You guys had prayer mats, right?
Yeah, there's cushions that you could sit on, and then a blanket, like a modesty type blanket thing. And it was good. It was definitely my first experience having a prayer meeting that way, but it was good.
Instead of sitting on a chair. Plastic chair, PR
style. Well, exactly, right. Instead of standing or walking around. And
And if that wasn't enough, you preached twice on the Sunday. Is that the first time you ever preached twice?
It was.
In one day? Wow.
It was the most I've ever ministered in a week.
Yeah.
Definitely, hands down. Preached twice on a Sunday. I did the Mandarin service at Brother Amin's church. And then I preached the service at Brother Kabani's church. So that was in English. First one was translated, and then second one was in English. So,
yeah, and Brother Kabani's the general superintendent of Indonesia. So you finished at the general superintendent's church.
I did. It was really good. It was a really great service. And I'd been there before as well. So that's, again, the people were familiar. Yeah. It was really good,
Yeah, wonderful churches in Jakarta.
Yeah, it was
really
awesome.
good people. And JSS, I mean, we've got a long relationship with him in Sydney because of Pastor Amin. He came to the Lord. If you guys haven't heard his story, I've got a whole episode with him. You can check that out. But he came to the Lord in Australia, and he and his wife, they both did, right?
A few of the people at
Attended
JSS
Sydney?
now. Sister Ruby was from Newcastle.
No, but I mean, Brother Amin and Sister Fifi, didn't they actually attend Sydney? Didn't they attend Grace Tabernacle for a little bit?
Not too sure. They attended a church in Newcastle.
Yeah, I know they came to Newcastle. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she did. And then he visited.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But no, that's awesome. Well, so you ministered how many times in how many days?
I think it ended up being 8 times in 5 days.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 in 5 days.
Wow, that's amazing. And we traveled through to the crusade in Dubbo, which that's not the city in Australia. It's an island.
It's a Dubbo. It's the accent.
It's slightly different.
Dubbo.
Dubbo. Dubbo.
Yeah, you got to go up the Australian way.
Okay. The American only rears its head.
Dubbo.
Not Dodo.
Okay, all right.
So it was, to explain it, it actually is one of the Aru Islands, which if you look that up, it's ARU Islands. And they actually have kangaroos in the Aru Islands. Like I thought kangaroos were only in Australia, but apparently they've got them on their islands. It's kind of a big thing. They got emus as well. What else? And so Dubbo's got about 100,000 people in it. And, the general mood was that they feel like they've been left behind. That like Indonesia has progressed and developed, and they feel like they're lagging. Which, if you were to look at it from the outside, it is a bit underdeveloped. But beautiful people. And so we traveled from Jakarta into Ambon, which is the capital of the Maluku Islands, Maluku province. And then Dubbo is one of the cities within that province. And we were there for 5 days. We were part of a crusade. It was a multi-denominational crusade organized by a few different organizations, but the UPC church there was given the opportunity to organize speakers for the event. So we were ministering at it. So it was a wonderful opportunity. And we were there for 5 days, ministered and connected with the churches there, and really I guess invested into the work there. And the Pastor Sonny, shout out to him, he's a really nice guy. It was good to be there. We had good services, good move of God, and especially enjoyed traveling with Brother Kabani. And I've traveled with Brother Thompson a number of times now, but it's always good to be with him. We're really good friends with him for a while now, and his daughter Grace attends our church, so they become pretty close. Dewi as well. Shout out to them if they're listening. But and then Brother Kabani was good. I'd spent some time with him. His daughter actually attended our church when she was in university in Sydney, but this was my first time getting an extended time with him, which is a great guy and amazing story. Like, I'm really hoping that he comes on the podcast to share his story. He came to faith in America. He's actually a dual citizen. He's American, and he came to faith in America, and then he's Indonesian, and felt God wanted to move back to Indonesia, to reach his people. And after, I think it was like 15 years, he was a licensed minister, assistant pastor in the U.S. He moves back to Indonesia to plant a church with nothing.
Yeah, his wife was telling me.
Yeah, amazing story. Yeah. So,
well,
really,
their story.
Yeah,
she moved with them.
Yeah, of course. yeah, of course. And so it was good being with them, and then obviously spending time with Brother Paulus. He's a wonderful man of God and one of our leaders here in Australia. And again, another guy I'm trying to get on. He's his personality doesn't lend himself to doing interviews with a camera, but hopefully he does, because again, his story's amazing as well. He grew up in apartheid South Africa and moved to Australia in his 30s. Was a minister, and just an amazing story. Both of those guys, but. It was an honor being with them, and I was very much happy to be home, though, after that trip. I was happy to be back with you and with the girls. These trips are, we've done 3. I've done 3 this year. You've done 2 of them with me. These trips definitely get harder when you have kids, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. For
me, maybe not for you. She's like, time off.
Well... it's nice coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it difficult. I think if I was in Jakarta, it'd have been okay, right. Which I was when we did the last trip. We were in Central Java and all that, but because I was like 2 flights away.
Yeah, pretty remote.
And then that area only had 3 flights a week, so you really kind of felt isolated.
Yeah.
But I think I was on my phone and I got a notification about like something happening. In the Middle East, it seemed like some sort of escalation. I was like, oh, good Lord, don't let anything happen while I need to get back home. But it was good to be back.
Generally, something in the Middle East is not affecting your flight.
Well, you never know. I mean, if there's another world war, who knows?
That's true.
But I wanted to talk to you briefly. It's not just a recap, not just a chat, but I hope you guys have enjoyed that portion of it. But I want to talk to you briefly about being stretched, what it's like when you're stretched, whether that's on a trip, like a missions trip, where if you're going into a certain area, you have to prepare, and then it gets off the notes and you got to prepare again, and then you got to, or when it comes to ministry in general, I feel like we've experienced a lot of stretching this year, different things that we may not have done before. But when it comes to ministry, when it comes to allowing yourself to be stretched, what would you say to that?
Right. So I have a funny story. On Sunday, the second service on Sunday, when I was preaching, but it was English, I was going through my notes and I'm kind of sliding forward. I'm like, oh man, I don't have a lot of pages left. Like, I was purposely not trying to talk so fast, and everything up to that point. So 7 times before that, I've had a translator.
Right.
And so with the translator, you go quite slow.
You can pause.
Yeah, you can pause. You can read forward. It's very calming almost for me to preach or teach with a translator. So then Sunday, obviously it's in English, and I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be long enough. Mind you, I don't preach often. Like, this is not something I'm doing every week, every month even. It's not even something I'm doing every month. I can teach a lesson, no problem. But preaching is not something I'm doing very often.
You hadn't preached for a while, which is...
right, that
you
too.
Preached at POCC recently.
Right, but that was
before
only...
that, it's been a while.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I can pull something out of my back pocket generally, like most preachers can, right? Like, I assume... This is my assumption.
Some can.
Right. My assumption is, if that was you, like, I'm sure you could add another 10 minutes and just kind of...
Maybe after this year? Yeah. But I think before this year, I was very much if it's not written, it's not preached.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. I pretty much almost script my notes. Like, that's generally how I write my sermons. So we came to the end of it, and I was like, yep, definitely need to pull something out. And God just kind of quickened a story to me of our story with POCC, and it just kind of fit perfectly because I was talking about consecration over convenience, and it was great, and it prolonged the length of the service, so that was great. But God kind of just in the moment quickened it to me. But so definitely that was a stretch for me because I was like freaking out. I'm very planned and organized,
yeah.
and I was like, I have not planned accordingly. Like,
Well,
you know.
Indonesia, like Jakarta in particular, doesn't really allow you to
Right.
only be organized.
Yeah.
It just forces you.
Case in point,
Yeah.
I ministered it how many times in 5 days. So that was good. But I would say, so just to the, stretching thing comment that you had mentioned, definitely I've found mostly with POCC that I am walking in different roles to what I normally walk in. Normally it's, music director and so that's something. But when we first started POCC, I reached out to a few different home missions pastors' wives.
Mm-hmm.
The females, right? And kind of asked them what they did, how they effectively reached, their communities and the new people that came to this. Because I'm not super familiar with any of that. It's not something. POS has always been quite large. I haven't really had a front row seat to pastors' interactions with guests. I guess that's that side of it. I've taught Bible studies and things like that, but I guess from the pastor's kind of point of view, I haven't.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't really walked through that. So I reached out to a few and just asked what they did. I actually reached out to a couple from a church that some friends of ours pastor, and they were new. They were one of the newest couples that came to the church, and they're still in the church. And I kind of just asked them what their pastors did that they felt a part of the church, they belonged, and just to kind of get some idea of what to do. Like I really, and I'm not saying I do know what to do now, like absolutely not.
We're pros, yeah.
No, not at all. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know where to start. So I thought, well, what's the best way to kind of learn something? Go and ask.
Yeah,
ask people who have done that before.
That's so practical. Like talk to people who have been there, and sort of learn from their mistakes, but also learn from their victories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What they did well, and
Yeah, and like, not to get too far into that, but church planning is like completely different to even taking over a small church,
right?
Or being part of a small church. Like I've been part of a small church. So I've been in churches of all sizes my life growing up prior to POS. So I knew what that was like, but never been part of a church plant personally. I've seen it from the outside. So yeah, it's one thing to have some experience, but if you have experience in one thing, that doesn't mean it automatically translates to the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all. So I would say, if people are walking into a new season, I would say, God moves you into different areas, and obviously be faithful and work the hardest you can possibly work in your current season. And when God moves you, if he moves you to something else, ask those around you. You don't have to know it all, and just be able to do it. And, what's it called when you're in the water and not drown, but I mean like not sure what to do and kind of like sinking, the ship's sinking, but you don't want to ask for help, but you don't know how to like steer the ship. It's ask people around who have done it, and they're there. Why? Like they're there to learn from. So
yeah. I want to ask you this because in our relationship, and this is sort of like pulling back the curtain a little bit, but like, I'm very much sort of down the line. I'm like,
right.
I would say like I'm the numbers guy, I'm the realist,
right.
Not you're the planner and all of that. But as far as like, especially when it comes to our spiritual walk with God, like I'm biblical, theological,
right.
like that's right up my alley.
right.
And then you're Miss Faith, like you just have faith, you just believe. What role has that played in this year, this past week? How did that help you? Leaning on your faith.
like believing that God can do anything and everything.
So you just make it so simple.
It is. It's literally that. It's but even from a young age, it was always I saw God do miracles. I saw God use men and women mightily through the preached word, through songs, through worship. It was just something I knew. Like I saw and believed God can do anything and everything through me, through whoever it is. If you follow God's leading and guiding and you're truly surrendered to him, nothing is impossible. And if you don't know how to do something, you'll learn how to do it, and God will honor that. But I can't even give you any kind of insight. It's literally just a fundamental belief that God can do it and God will do it. And I'm going to be there for it and I'm going to see it happen because I believe it. So I don't know. It's fundamental to me.
So you don't have like 5 points on your faith? Like you don't have like a 5-point breakdown as to, no, I'm kidding.
No.
See, that's what I would do.
Yeah. No.
It's like, so what's the thing to your faith? And I'll be like, well, according to Romans.
Nope. Exceedingly abundantly above all. No one to him immortal. Seriously. No, really, it is. It's just he can do it and he will do it and he does it. And I believe it.
What has been we'll finish up with this, but what has been, I don't know, like the most encouraging thing for you this year? Because the thing is, when you are being stretched, you have to lean on moments of joy, I guess, or moments of encouragement, or maybe even people. You've talked about reaching out to people. What has been doesn't necessarily have to be one thing, but what has been a few things that has really helped you during this time of being stretched?
Yeah, I would say organization, even though I'm pretty organized.
I remember, where were we at? We were coming back.
We were in the car.
I think it was after Turning Point. You were just organized.
Yes.
Our first off-site Turning Point. You done all the music. Not only that, but we had a team from the U.S.
Right.
You organized that.
Yeah.
And I remember we got back in the car, and this was after Turning Point.
Yes, it was.
And it was like it was the public holiday on the Monday.
Yes, it was Monday.
And we were doing like a short debrief or something. And you're like, you know what? I just need to be more organized. And I just looked at you like, you're the most organized person I know.
I'm pretty sure I said the words like, I feel like my life is chaos, like something like that. And then you said, if you're unorganized, imagine the rest of the world.
Just look at my desktop.
It drives me nuts, actually. But more further tools to be more organized within the music department at POS. That's been because the more organized you are, the less chaotic everything is. As in, like, we're using a new system, and so everything is there. I don't need to worry about the days or the weeks leading up to a practice or a big event. I've organized so that everything is in one place and everyone knows where to look. So that has kind of calmed that area of my life down. So I would say definitely tools have helped to walk through this season. I would say just trusting God as well. That definitely has been the biggest thing that has carried, thing if you want to say thing or whatever it is, but has carried me through the last 12 months, as it were, because we know that God's called us to do this for this season or however long. We know he's called us and we know that he's working with us, and it's kind of like the faith thing. It's, you're called, so you just get the job done, and he will bless the team's efforts in reaching our community. So I think, I think trusting God's call and trusting that what we're doing is in his will, and then being more organized for sure with tools and things
be more organized, trust God, and then be more organized. Is that the good summary of it?
Be more organized. Trust God. What
Well,
else? I don't know.
No, it's just, no. Like, it's simple, but it's
What
true.
do you think?
if
Well,
you're
what do you
organized.
think? Looking from the
Well,
outside,
no one cares what I think. They've heard me 140 times.
But looking from the outside in, what do you think?
For
Like,
you?
if you're asking me, yeah.
Like, what do I think about what you've experienced?
Yeah, have you
or-
seen my behaviors or things change in the
Oh,
last 12
I would definitely
months?
say your spiritual life. You're definitely more disciplined with your spiritual life. And then this year, like no other year, you're teaching Bible studies. Like you're really digging into the Word of God. Again, here the practical guy.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, right.
But I think that like Bible studies is like manna.
Yeah.
Like if you love God and you love to see God work, teach Bible studies,
Right.
and that just really like I know that for me that really feeds me.
Right.
Just seeing people learning and growing. Our small group on Wednesdays for me, but I think for you, yeah, it's just relational as well. Like
Yeah.
you're like, there's some people that you've really poured into on the Central Coast and even in Sydney, like we haven't stepped away from Sydney, so we're still
Right.
investing in people there, investing in small group there. And I think, I don't know. I feel like stretching is challenging, but if you're pouring yourself out for the right reasons, and I'm going to be talking about this a bit on Sunday in the message I'm sharing at POS, but it's like if your will is submitted to God's will, then sacrifice is not as challenging. We look at sacrifice as something so difficult. Sacrifice is difficult, but if we are submitted to God, then we can do it with joy, And I think the fact that you're submitted to God, you're trusting Him. So therefore, what people on the outside seems like, oh, this is crazy. How are you guys doing all that? On the inside, we're like, well, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually spoke on something similar in Indonesia, which you wouldn't have heard.
Can you share your notes?
Because you weren't here. You weren't there. But it was about Abraham and Isaac, how he took him, God spoke to him, or Abram, I think at the time.
Yeah.
And God spoke to him and said, I want you to take your son up to the region of Moriah, and I want you to sacrifice him there. And I spoke about how that was, sacrifice for him, obviously. But the Bible says that he just packed up his donkey, packed up his servants, packed up his son, grabbed the wood and walked. And it's about a 3-day journey. So that was sacrifice for him to walk. Imagine walking with your son, knowing that God's called you to sacrifice. Now, I don't know if deep down he knew that God would provide a lamb, like an actual animal.
He did, no.
Well, the Bible doesn't say he did. The Bible just says that God said that, and he walked with his son. And they even went up the mountain, and the Bible said the historians say that that his son was probably older than, I think, 12 years old or something.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
under 35 or under 36. So he fully knew what was happening. I was even thinking about it. He probably laid himself on the altar. I wonder if he said to his son, like, you need to lay.
He probably
couldn't lift him, right? Like, I could barely lift my 7-year-old.
Yeah, Abraham wasn't like tying him down against his own will.
Right, exactly. And so that was sacrifice, but he did it. He did it as unto God, and then God provided the lamb, as we know. But
the sacrifice, but also the amount of trust,
right?
Which is what you just touched on.
Yeah,
trusting God in that whole process on the 3-day journey. But then also, he had done such a good job with his son in raising him that his son trusted God.
Exactly, right? And so I think that's a testament to when you trust God and you live a consecrated life, you go when God says go, and you just trust that He's going to perform His perfect will. And he went. God called him to go, and so he went, and he got to see a miracle. His son got to see a miracle, in that moment. And so I just wanted to quickly actually speak to when you mentioned the spirituality, like this year and things like that. When we first kind of started the preview services, which was once a month in Gosford. And then we went to every Sunday from a few months in after that. I felt such a responsibility, a weight, I guess it was, to people look to their pastors, right? I love our pastors. Like, I really do. And yeah, I don't know why it's making me emotional, but they, like Pastor Stan and Sister Robin, they're amazing. I see Pastor preaching in the Philippines at the moment, and it's like, I'm so proud, like godly proud, right? I know people say it that way, but like, just I have learned so much from him and how he handles situations and how he runs, departments, and the things that I have seen and the things that meetings I've sat in on with him. I've just learned so much, and I love them. And you can tell they pray. You can tell that they study the Word of God, that they operate in wisdom, and you can just tell those things. And so when we started POCC, there was definitely a weight I felt of people are looking to us as their pastors. And I don't like even the word pastor, and when people call you that, it's odd. It's sounds strange to me.
Brother Woodward threw me way off a couple of weeks ago.
Right. It sounds really strange to my ears. It feels weird to say. And I don't desire it. Like, I don't want it to come across that it's like, something
you must call.
Yeah, not at all. Like, I tell people to call me Steph. I introduce myself as Steph.
That's not what I heard. I heard you told them all to call you First Lady.
As if.
Oh, wait, no, you're progressive. You said, call me Pastor Steph.
Call me Steph. So by no means, but what I'm trying to get at is people are looking to their pastors, and we carry that title for POCC at the moment. And people are looking to me, right? So I'm not God, but I need to pray. I need to fast. And not that I wasn't doing these things before, but I think I'm an example.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example of that. So this is completely random, not as spiritual as what you're saying, but I never take my Bible to church.
Okay.
I never.
Okay.
I have my iPad, and I'm a millennial, so I got my iPad, I got my phone, I have a Bible. But rarely do I take my physical Bible to church.
Right.
I did when I was a kid, but once it was on my tablet, I just didn't really feel like I had to. And I'm not one that marks in my Bible or anything like that. So I was like, there wasn't like a need for me to bring the physical book. And I know people talk about, you need to have your physical Bible, right? So, and I'd always bring it when I preach. But then I noticed, I think it was a couple weeks ago, someone else was preaching at POCC, and I was there, and I'd forgotten my Bible. And I'm like, I'm the pastor, and I don't have a Bible. And I was like, oh, I need to have a Bible every Sunday. Whether I'm physically going through it or not. But just as an example, like there's a child coming to POCC Kids, and their pastor doesn't have a Bible on Sunday.
Right, that's weird.
Exactly.
You're right.
It's interesting, like all these different things that you face. But it's like, life changes, and this year has been 1 year of stretching for us.
Yeah.
And so glad you said that you come on and have this chat with us. Hope this has been an encouragement to somebody. I know the numbers are going to be huge because Steph's on. But no, thanks again for coming on and being such a great support to the show.
Of
I mean,
course.
you've never given me a hard time about the late nights of editing or anything like that. So just wanted to honor you real quick as we finish up here, and you'll probably make me delete all this. But
now here's my closing word. Where's my closing word?
I'd like to have a closing word, please.
I like to ask the guests every time. Okay, Greg, your turn. I like to ask every guest this as we close up our interview here today, and feel free to share what's on your heart for our listeners here on the Hacker Podcast. Wait, I'm giving it over to you. So would you just take that away? And you've been a real blessing to us, Brother Greg.
Brother Greg. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope this has been a treat for you guys. And
background music. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I don't
Greg.
even need to add the background music. That's amazing. Just sing, please. We've got a piano here in our studio.
I'll just go play in the
Just go play.
background.
You just move away. Well, this has gone completely off the rails, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We put this together late at night and
Jet lagged.
Jet lagged. Yeah, we're not sleeping at night and we're wanting to sleep in the morning. But I just love doing live with you. It's amazing, and this year has been great. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the conversation today. Allow yourself to be stretched, because it's in the stretching that you see growth and you start doing, all that God has called you to do.